I just finished a 72 Corvette, my own personal car. We put hundreds of hours into this thing. I am so psyched at how awesome it turned out. I want to take you from A to Z on one of the most in-depth Corvette restorations we've ever done that I think turned out spectacular.
I'm overzealous when I'm thinking about the cash flow. I never had no handouts, just came natural. I've been testing so much, all these wrestlers nice, all these different situations that I've been through.
I used to be able to see this car from my office, and it drove me crazy because I saw this, I thought it was blue, but there was so much dirt on it, I couldn't be sure. This Corvette literally sat under an open hangar. In other words, just a roof. And it sat under this open hangar for years. And I saw this thing day in, day out, just getting dirtier, getting dirtier, getting dirtier. And I'm like, okay, I've had enough of this. And I went to Ron, the owner of the fixed base operator here at Dolphin. And I'm like, dude, sell me this car, man. You're obviously not using it. You're obviously not driving it. It's just sitting here. And he was just, no. Ron didn't like to sell stuff. And I literally stayed on him for a couple of years. And finally, the price eked up, and eventually we got to equilibrium where I was giving him enough money, and I bought the car, went over, started looking at this thing, and I'm like, okay, this is a barn find in a hangar. The first thing we did is we literally went over and blew the dirt off of it where it sat. It was so much fun to do that because as we cleaned this car, I realized, okay, there's a decent car here. We got the car cleaned up, we got a battery in it, we got it started, and we moved it over to the hangar where we actually started digging into it to see what we had. It had no brakes, it was a hot mess, and so the first round of restoration on this was stuff that's not very exciting and nobody would see. We replaced all the brake rotors, all the brake calipers, the master cylinder. We completely did a brake system on it. Replaced all the rubber underneath this thing, worked on the suspension, rebuilt the steering, basically did everything below the waterline that made this car a solid driver. And then we started sanding, and we ended up doing a full-on restoration on this car. And quite honestly, more than a car of this caliber deserves, and here's what I mean by that. The amount of effort we put into this car is more than this particular car is worth. We quickly realized this is not going to be a small project. Whoever built this car, if you're watching this video, I'm sorry, but they didn't do anything right on this car. It was a cluster, just to be perfectly honest. It was bad. And you can see here, as we're scraping the paint off, man, this is not what you should see when you're repainting a car. I mean, it's just, this was bad. But anyway, we worked and worked and worked to get all the paint off so that we could get down to the bare fiberglass and then start bringing this car back up. And the beautiful thing is once we got all this off, then we were able to massage, block, fill, everything we needed to do to get these panels just beautifully straight. So the problem is when you have a 50-year-old car and more than a few people have put their hands on it, well, let's just say it can be rough. Now, we knew we had some problems with this thing because the deck lid on the rear of this thing that covers the convertible top looked like a tsunami on a hurricane. I mean, it had more waves in it than the ocean. It was awful. So we knew we had a lot of work to do on that. The nose of the car, where you have a multi-angled contour kind of coming down to where the headlights are, it looked like a bag of walnuts. I mean, it literally looked like someone took a bag of walnuts and painted it over it. It's very common on Corvettes. That is a hard area to get right. It's very complex compound curves. And so we knew we had some problems there. But when we started sanding the paint off of this thing, the first thing we realized is this car was on paint job number 5, and they were stacked. So you had the factory paint, which was green, then you had 4 other paint jobs, on top of that. This car has been orange. It has been 2 shades of blue. This car has been a lot of different colors. And I mean, you think about it and you go like, well, how is that possible? Well, it's 50 years old. If you only painted it once every 10 years, it'd have 5 paint jobs on it. So, you know, there you go. But anyway, nobody ever sanded anything off. They just kept stacking and stacking and stacking. And so this car, when we started taking it down, it was a hot mess. In addition to that, when we started getting down to the bottom layers, we realized that a lot of people, instead of fiberglassing to repair it over the years, they just used Bondo. And so we had entire sections of this Corvette body that should have been fiberglass that were pretty much made out of Bondo. Fortunately, none of the spots were big enough that we had to use patch panels. We were able to make it all. But just leave it to say, there were places in this vehicle that were a hot mess.
Don't stop. Keep dancing. Move to the beat.
Once you get the car to the place that you're able to start bringing it back towards color, you've hit a real milestone, because I'll tell you, by this point, we literally had, no exaggeration, we were months into this job. There was so much work to do on the doors, the fenders, just all the little pieces, parts. The headlight assemblies had to be completely disassembled and restored and brought back together. And so as you get ready to paint, you've already put, 300, 400, 500 hours of labor into something like this. I mean, it just completely spun out of control. This is where the resto mod part starts kicking in, because we kept the body completely stock other than the hood scoop. I mean, we're putting all the original badging, emblems, everything on it, the regular Corvette rally wheels, everything. I want this thing to look like a factory vet. The color? Well, the color we chose, I started with a cobalt blue, and then I mixed in some red metal flake, and then we shot it over a dark gray to black primer. Blue is a very translucent color, and when you're laying that blue out, it tends to show off what's underneath. But the beautiful thing is once we lay this color out, depending on where you stand, it goes from light blue to dark blue to purple to black in the evening light. It's not a flop color, but because of the way we mixed it and the way we sprayed it, to me, it's the most gorgeous blue I've ever seen. It all depends on where the sun is, where you're standing, what time of day it is, but it gives the car an enormous amount of personality. So we cleared it, and then it came out of the booth, and we wet sanded the entire car, all the parts, put it back in the booth, and cleared it a second time. And then after it comes out of the booth a second time, we start with 5,000 grit sandpaper, go up through 8, up through 10, and then polish it. And that gives you a mark-free, scratch-free finish where it doesn't look like it was ever wet sanded, but it looks like it's a foot deep. One of the things when we did this is we realized when we got the dash out of it is not only had this thing been painted 5 times, but apparently it's been rewired 5 times by a whole bunch of different people. And the wiring, I'm amazed this car didn't burn to the ground. And so we cleaned up, eliminated yards and yards and yards of wiring, and got this thing more back to its factory wiring harness. I mean, keep in mind, this thing was built in '72. This thing has no computers. This thing has no technology. This is a very simple points and condenser, distributor car. There's nothing to this thing. So we cleaned up the wiring, but then as we were able to put the dash back in the car, we were able to put it over all painted surfaces. So you don't have that, ooh, there's a little color sticking out, or there's a little corrosion here. No, we got this thing down to the bare car, and we were able to strip it out, clean it up, and then the process of putting one of these back together, again, it takes weeks. I mean, it was days just getting the dash put back together. You can't imagine how much there is on one of these cars until you go to the baker's rack where we have all the parts stored, and you start pulling parts off and putting them on, and pulling parts off and putting them on, and getting the grills, the headlights, just putting the headlight assemblies back together and getting them in and getting them working without scratching the paint. That's an arduous task on one of these Vettes. That took one guy several days. Dude, what are you gonna do with this engine compartment? It looks ratty. You're not wrong. It does. now that we've done what we've done, we've put this just super exotic paint job on it, we are going to put a big block in this thing. And I know somebody's going to get in the comments and say, you know, you really should have done that before you painted it. Again, you're not wrong. Wasn't the plan initially, but it kind of got out of control. But we are going to be putting a big block in this car. And when we do that, then we will be doing a very meticulous engine compartment restoration where we'll be just making it look factory fresh again. It'll be on the resto mod side because there's going to be a lot of chrome, you know, a lot of fun. I grew up in the 80s, so, you know, there's going to be some big block Moroso valve covers, and it's going to look, you know, like a day at the drag strip. And but that's my flavor. I'm always a proponent of, if you're doing a restoration, use as much of the original car as you can get away with and replace only as necessary. Because I'm going to tell you, unless you get NOS parts, which means new old stock, basically it's leftover brand new parts from 72, unless you get that, the remanufactured parts are not near the quality as the original. So I always try to refurbish if I can. So a lot of what we put back on this car is refurbished original parts, and then some of the parts are aftermarket. For instance, the front grills. What I really took away from this restoration is when you're going to restore a car, I always tell my clients, be prepared. Because what you think's going to happen and what actually happens, a lot of times is two different things. What you think you're going to spend and what you actually are going to spend, two different things. How long you think it's going to take and how long it takes, it's going to be two different things. You have to be really flexible when you're doing restorations, because like I said, when we dove into this thing, I really thought this was going to be a get in, get out, put a paint job on it. Really wasn't even, restoration really wasn't even in the cards. But once we dug into this thing, we're like, okay, now we're committed. And then once we were committed, we found out just how bad it was. And then we just went on the deep dive, and this thing's gonna be a show car when it's done. I mean, it is just gorgeous. You know, but I deal with this with some of my customers who bring their classics in that are just numbers matching, perfect cars, but then we dig into it. You know, I've had people come in and go, hey, this is original paint, and, you know, I start cutting into it to do a repair on it, and I'm like, well, unfortunately, I have to differ with you because there's a paint ring and a primer ring and another paint ring and another primer ring. You're on paint job number 2. This is not original paint. And so just things come up. In this particular case, I gotta be honest though, at the end of the day, and a lot of my clients are the same way, when you get to the end of it, when you get over the extra time, the extra money, the extra headache, and you get to the end of a project like this and you see what you've created, it's all worth it. It's all worth it. I cannot wait to take this beautiful C3 Corvette to Cars and Coffee here in Sarasota and let people see, you know, just what a beautiful example of a convertible Corvette, because this thing is just going to be, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, so what we got going on here now is what we call our final cut, final buff. What's great about this particular paint job is we double dip the clear. It's what we call it. So what that means is we put the base coat on, we put 2 coats of clear on, then we let it dry, then we 800 sanded the entire car, put it back in the booth, and put 2 more coats of clear on this car. And so we got a lot of clear, which has given us incredible depth and incredible wet look. But what we've done now is we've taken it all the way back down to 1500 grit and brought it all the way back up through 8000. And then we go through a multi-tiered buffing process. And so we had a whole evening just doing the side. It's gonna take several days to get the rest of the car to this level, but that's what gets you to perfection. What started as just was going to be a paint job really ended up going through all the systems. Honestly, we got into this thing, the wiring was a cobbled up mess, and we did a lot of wiring in this car to get everything back to where it needs to be, to get lights hooked back up that haven't been working, just lots of little things when it came down to the interior. And one thing I'll tell you that we did on this restoration, we made every effort to use the OEM or original equipment manufactured parts. When they could be restored, we used the original stuff. When it was just too far gone, then we looked for either NOS, new old stock, or replacement parts. But we've tried to keep this car as original as we could. Can't wait to start driving this thing and taking it to some shows and having a lot of fun with it, because that's really what the heart of a muscle car or any type of classic is, to enjoy it and share it with the people you love, the people you hang out with. And so we're looking forward to having a lot of fun with this car. If you've
enjoyed watching this episode that we've created here on this Corvette, I want to encourage you to check out some of the other things we're doing. Mash that subscribe button, tell your friends about it. We've got some great projects that are going to be up and coming. We've got a Mercedes 380 SL that is nearing completion, and we're going to have a video coming out on that. And we've got some more projects coming in. We've actually got a black CUDA coming in, black paint, black interior, shaker hood. It's got a lot of rare option combinations, and it is 100% original. That's going to be a major, major restoration, and that's going to be up and coming. So we've got some great stuff coming. So keep checking back for more, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.